We are selling the normal price, which is 1.8. Most of the customers, you can see the queue by yourself.
Nigerians are of the opinion that the downward review of the pump price will ameliorate the present economic challenges caused by COVID-19 pandemic. In Lagos, Ken Igbeluke, NTA News.
5 persons have been confirmed dead in a boat mishap that occurred early hours of Saturday. A statement by the General Manager, Lagos State Waterways Authority, Oluwadamilola Emmanuel, reveals that 16 passengers have been rescued after intense rescue operations. The 20-capacity boat, which capsized at Owode-Igbese, was conveying passengers from Ibuteru to Ikorodu, but did not arrive at its destination. 335 Nigerians have arrived the country from the United States of America on board an Ethiopia airline. According to reports, these passengers have passed through stringent checks before their arrival. Some passengers appreciated the federal government for the measures put in place to help check the spread of COVID-19 in the country. They are still to undergo coronavirus tests at the NCDC Center in Yaba, as negative results remain the condition upon which their travel passports will be released. And now to latest update on the COVID-19. Nigeria has recorded 454 new cases of COVID-19 in 20 states of the Federation, including the FCT. The breakdown shows that Lagos has the highest with 87, FCT 60, Oyo 19, Edo 63, Kwara 34, Abia 31, Ogun 29, Ondo 41, Benue 32, Rivers 26, Nasarawa, Osun 8, Akwa Ibom and Delta 16. Other states are Enugu with 15, Kaduna 17, Plateau 9, Borno 14, Bauchi 7, Kano 5, and while Kogi and Katsina has 1 case each. The latest figures released brings the total number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the country as at 3rd of July to 27,564. 11,069 patients have so far been treated and discharged, while 628 deaths have been recorded. Still on COVID-19, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says schools will reopen on the 3rd of August 2020 for SS3 and Technical School 3, while GSS3 will wait for assessment for 1 week before opening. The governor at a press briefing on the update of COVID-19 in the state, however, made it clear that the reopening applies to only day schools, as both public and private boarding schools remain shut. Nosausula reports.
The governor, who assured residents that government will continue to be aggressive and proactive in its COVID-19 testing response and management, disclosed that the state is partnering with the private sector to scale up testing and facilities at isolation centers.
www.lasgsafetyreg.com will continue to advise that our people use this portal for registration sake, and they are not meant to pay any form of money. This registration and all of the inspections are free of charge.
The governor made it clear that residents who have symptoms of COVID-19 will be treated for free by the state government. He, however, explained that others without symptoms will bear the cost, adding that such tests must be carried out at any of the accredited private laboratories.
Sport facility and recreational parks in residential estates only will also be permitted to open at this time. And I'm employed that there will be a maximum of 20 at any of those gatherings.
Governor Sanwo-Olu warned residents to desist from flouting government's COVID-19 guidelines for prevention, emphasizing that defaulters will be prosecuted, particularly for not wearing face masks in public. In Lagos, Nosa Usula, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA2 News at this hour. A break beckons. The news continues shortly.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly. or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
The main way coronavirus spread is when infected people sneeze and cough. Small droplets of fluid expelled by cough or sneezes are laced with viruses looking for new respiratory tracts to infect. When a sick person sneezes around someone who is healthy, the virus can land in the nose, mouth, or even the eyes, causing an infection. Symptoms can include fever, cough, shortness of breath. Symptoms may appear within 2 to 14 days. Seek medical advice if you develop symptoms and have been in close contact with a person known to have COVID-19, or if you live or have recently been in an area with ongoing spread of COVID-19. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long. Live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possible.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
Glad to know you are still there. More groups have joined in the growing campaign against rape in Nigeria as the spate in the country is gaining global condemnation. Abolore Obara takes a look at efforts of law enforcement agents and concerned citizens to combat the menace.
Following the rising reports by the rape victims, especially on social media, and police cases of victims who lost their lives after they were raped, the agitation for stricter punishment for perpetrators is rife. It is against this backdrop that a non-governmental organization, Campaign Against Rape in Lagos, joined forces with Nigerian police to educate and sensitize the public on why it's necessary to advocate justice through the force of law.
We are tired. We will no longer condone space for any rapists in our society. So we are saying that anyone found guilty after investigation must face the music, and not just a mere penalty, a stiffer penalty, because this is the only way we can get rid of this very, very wicked act against humanity.
Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 2, Ahmed Iliasu reassured Lagos residents that the issue of rape is being tackled by its officers and men.
The community policing engagement that is going down now to the communities, working with the community, not only policing of the community, but policing with the community, will be part of the greatest solution to this kind of gender violence, because it happens in the communities and other areas like the garages, like the parks, and what have you got. So engaging NGOs and engaging the PCRC, which is also a partner in this community policy engagement, and other charity organizations, definitely we find a solution to it.
The AIG called on members of the public, particularly victims, not to hesitate to approach the law whenever they witness or experience sexual violation, as the stigma of rape is fast fading. In Lagos, Abolore Ogbara, NTA News.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCDPC, has arraigned a Lagos-based cosmetic surgeon, Dr. Anuluapo Adepoju, whose services allegedly resulted in the death and discomfort to several clients. Dr. Adepoju was arraigned for allegedly obstructing investigation by the FCCPC into the complaints. Tunde Cycle reports that the court, however, granted the accused bail on self-recognition in view of the COVID-19 pandemic.
In a 5-count charge leveled against Dr. Anuluapo Adepoju and her clinic, Med Contour Services Limited, before Justice Mohammed Liman, showed that FCCPC accused the cosmetic surgeon of shunning summons by the commission to appear before it and produce certain documents. This follows complaints received by the commission against Dr. Adepoju and her clinic. The defendant, however, pleaded not guilty to the 5 counts. Justice Mohammed Lima admitted her to bail on self-recognizance in view of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The outcome of this case, what the FCCPC seeks in this case, is to compel the defendants to cooperate with the investigative process.
Earlier in the proceeding, the judge dismissed a preliminary objection by the defense counsel, Marian Jones, challenging the validity of the charges and the court's jurisdiction to entertain the matters. It will be recalled that the accused was alleged to have refused to respond to complaints against her from Marlene Uluwakemi, Taiwo Temilade, and Vivian Mwazoligbo that the surgeon's services are unsafe for consumers. The matter was later adjourned for commencement of trial to the 9th of this month. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Today is International Day of Cooperative, and the aim is to increase awareness of cooperatives on the need to resolve major problems facing the globe. With humanity presently faced with COVID-19 pandemic, there is need for countries to deepen social and economic cooperation in ending the trend. Joining us via Zoom to talk more on the International Day of Cooperatives in the midst of the COVID-19 is a public affairs analyst, Ugo Onwa. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much.
What is your analysis of the global commitment to combat the spread of COVID-19? Is it individualistic in nature or collective?
I think at the beginning, countries and governments were individualistic in their approach. Everybody was busy covering up their own jurisdiction. But with time, it is becoming obvious that since it is a pandemic, it will have global effect. No country can afford to be an island unto itself. So a realization is dawning on all countries that indeed there should be cooperation among nations so that this pandemic can be fought to a standstill. And I think we are moving towards that direction, except, of course, what appears to be an isolationist approach by the United States of America, which is unfortunate because we need all hands on deck to ensure that we win this battle against coronavirus.
What do you think are the missing link in the global approach to ending the coronavirus? You said it in the course of your response that the global community is now taking an holistic approach to end the pandemic. But what do you think are the missing link in this approach? So now there's still no vaccine or a permanent cure for COVID-19.
Well, according to experts, a vaccine for the virus is still not yet possible. Some are projecting the end of this year. Some others are saying not until 2021. But whenever it comes, we should bear in mind that there's a possibility the vaccine may not have 100% assurance to cure COVID-19. Indeed, one of the world experts has said that at best, he was expecting 75% accuracy. So something must be missing. But beyond that, another problem we may face, even as we move towards getting a vaccine for the virus, is that the richer nations, Europe and North America, may have to think about themselves first. Yeah, we Africans, from Nigerians can be used for trial, whether the vaccine will work or not. But once it's confirmed that the vaccine is effective, I fear that Europe and America will corner the available vaccine. I can't see how up to 7 billion vaccines can be produced over 1 year, so they can go around all the nations. But then there's another problem. There are people who are anti-vaccine. Indeed, before now, there had been in fact, there's ongoing conspiracy theory about the issue of vaccine. Who wants to do what? Who wants to depopulate Africa? Who wants to kill people? And these are issues that might come to play even when the vaccine is found. So we must bear it in mind. One, the richer nations will have to take care of themselves first. As it is, they're the ones, spearheading the research. They're the ones funding it. So when there's a breakthrough, you expect that they would like to look after themselves first. So those of us here in Nigeria and elsewhere in the third world, we might still have a long way to go, even when the vaccine is found. But as I said earlier, there is no consensus that effective vaccine will be discovered this year. And even if it does, as I mentioned earlier, those who found it, we need to take care of themselves first.
Your submission about the greater nation or the richer nation, the developed nation, putting themselves ahead of others in terms after the discovery of a vaccine, don't you think all this is against the principle being advocated by the International Day of Cooperatives?
Yeah, it negates it, but I must be frank and direct with our viewers. It is the law of self-preservation. There's a tendency for people to look after themselves first before looking out for others. Yes, I have no doubt, that a day like this should play in our minds globally, that indeed we need to cooperate in an increased manner so that the world will be rid of this pandemic. Because the problem is, even if the rich nations look after themselves first and then leave us to our own devices, they are still not immune. They are still not safe, unless, of course, they ban, traveling, to their countries. But if those who are not taken care of found their way into the developed nations, there could be also carriers of infection, and then the struggle will start all over again.
Thank you, Mr. Ugo Onwa, as a public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us on the news and your contribution. I really appreciate it. This is NTA. Thank you, sir. This is NTA2 News at this hour. We'll go on another break. The news continues shortly.
The way coronavirus spread is when infected people sneeze and cough. Small droplets of fluid expelled by cough or sneezes are laced with viruses looking for new respiratory tracts to infect. When a sick person sneezes around someone who is healthy, the virus can land in the nose, mouth, or even the eyes, causing an infection. Symptoms can include fever, cough, shortness of breath. Symptoms may appear within 2 to 14 days. Seek medical advice if you develop symptoms and have been in close contact with a person known to have COVID-19, or if you live or have recently been in an area with ongoing spread of COVID-19. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Glad to know you are still there. In continuation of efforts by the federal government and stakeholders towards sustainable power supply in the country, the leadership of the National Assembly joined a meeting of the Power Sector Reform Coordination Working Group chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who heads the Power Sector Reform Coordination Group, is here welcoming the door to the group's meeting, which agenda is for more deliberations on power reform in the country. It is a closed-door meeting, but Senate President Ahmed Lawan and Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, while explaining some of the issues discussed, say government at all levels and indeed Nigerians will not settle for nothing but the best from the service providers.
Well, it was a good meeting. We are still exploring the best way possible to improve the power sector in the country. And of course, the essence of that meeting was for us to look at the journey that we need to undertake to ensure that the discourse and the GENCOs provide stable power in the country, and how we should be able to, as an administration, ensure that there is sustainability in the power sector.
Everybody's on the same page, even in Nigeria, amongst Nigerians, that there has to be cost-reflective tariff, because nobody runs any business at a loss. We're working out a situation similar. That point needs to be made, where it's the top echelon, so to speak, for want of a better way to put it, of the society, perhaps I think 15% of the society, that the increase speaks to, not the general 80-85% of the rest of the country.
The DISCO promised us that they will provide quality service, they will fix all their transformers, they will provide meters, and all this is what we are working with them to make sure it's done. So it's not like one will lose, another one will get. It's a win-win approach we are recommending.
Both leaders of the National Assembly Tuesday this week visited the President and the Vice President to express the position of the National Assembly on the proposed increase in electricity tariff, which the Assembly believes it's not the right time to implement due to the challenges the people are facing from the COVID-19 pandemic. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Next, a sport update with Olumide Eguntola.
Right from inception, NTA Sports, now NTA Sports 24, has been providing the leadership role for other media outfits in the area of coverage, presentation, and reportage. To further take the channel to next phase in line with international best practices and tenets of the new media, a summit of all stakeholders across the country was the required magic. Guest speakers emphasized the need for creation of websites among other social platforms for the channel to be rated among the best at the international scene, calling for improvement in quality of reports and presentation of sports stories. They also clamored for the creation of dedicated sports programs for evolving new ideas in the world of sports, laying emphasis on traditional sports, general sports, rather than football alone. Provision of facilities by management of zonal and community stations in the coverage of local sporting activities, as well as creation of a team that will manage and sustain the social platforms of the channel.
It is also important that you have to have an application, a dedicated app for your station. It is going to be the one that is going to harmonize most of your activity online, and because it is being carried by everybody who has downloaded it, so each time they open it, the next thing they see is something about your station.
Reporters must rise up to the occasion, familiarize themselves with all the new tricks that abound in the new media, because that is the way to go.
We have to be able to understand our environment,
look out for events. Don't let the events come looking for you.
And also to build a database that could be very relevant to their production, as well as develop relationship with different organizations.
Some participants described the summit as timely.
It is pertinent for us to brace up and take advantage of every opportunity that the information technology world has to offer.
The key takeaway for me is the need to always refresh my skills.
If we continue this way, NTA Sports will make a tremendous progress.
This conference has really exposed us to the rudiments and what we need to know as far as new media is concerned.
It is generally agreed that the virtual video conference be held monthly for effective appraisal of the channel. In Lagos, Olumide Kuntola, NTA Sports.
That's the news at this hour. Thanks for watching. Good evening.
Ǹjẹ́ mẹ́ntilétọ̀ lè dáàbò bò ọ́ lórí COVID-19? Ó ṣeé ṣe kí o ti rí fọ́nrán kan lórí ayélujára níbi tí ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè Guinea Alpha Condé ti ní fífi mẹ́ntilétọ̀ símú pẹ̀lú mímu omi gbóná lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ yóò gbà ọ́ lọ́wọ́ coronavirus. Irọ́ ni o. Kò sí ẹ̀rí ìmọ̀ sáyẹ́ǹsì kankan tó ti fìdí rẹ̀ múlẹ̀ pé ọ̀nà àbáyọ wà nínú èyí fún àrùn coronavirus. Jọ̀wọ́ túbọ̀ tẹ̀síwájú láti máa tẹ̀lé àlàálẹ̀ ìmọ́tótó bíi fífọwọ́ rẹ déédéé, máa sín tàbí wúkọ́ sínú ìgbọ̀nwọ́ rẹ tàbí aṣọ ìléwọ́ pélébé. Bákan náà ni ó ṣe pàtàkì láti tẹ̀lé òfin ìjìnnà síra ẹni kí a tó wá máa lọ. Ìmọ̀ràn wa tòní rèé. A mọ̀ pé àsìkò ìgbélé yìí mú kí tọkọtaya máa wà pọ̀ ní ìgbà pípẹ́. Gbọ́nmi sí omi ò tó kóṣe lé sáláì má wáyé nítorí ìtọ́jú ọmọ àti àìráyè péjọ láàrin ọ̀rẹ́ lè fa ìbànújẹ́ ọkàn. Nítorí náà ó ṣe pàtàkì kí a máa fún ara wa láàyè láti ṣe nǹkan tí ó bá dùn mọ́ wa. Má ní lọ́kàn pé ẹnìkejì rẹ mọ nǹkan tó ń rò ó nítorí kò sí ẹni tó ti lo irú àsìkò àjàkálẹ̀ àrùn yìí rí tẹ́lẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ kí a máa sọ ọ̀rọ̀ ọkàn wa fún ara wa lóòrèkóòrè